Welcome to the weirdest election in American history. It was held on Tuesday, November 5th, 1872, and the Grant presidency had recently begun. In a monumental moment, the first transcontinental railroad in American history was completed, connecting the country from coast to coast. Then on September 1869 Black Friday, a short market crash occurred due to manipulation by investors, Gould and Fisk, to drive up the price of gold. It failed when the government sold a lot of gold, causing them to lose money and plummet the price of gold. This would make many people start to distrust the government. On other issues, the Samana Bay Treaty was a treaty that would annex Santo Domingo, aka the Dominican Republic. Grant secretly thought it would help African Americans and end slavery in the Caribbean, but narrowly failed in the Senate to be passed after radical Republican Charles Sumner voted against it. Another key moment in this era was the creation of the 15th Amendment, which tried to guarantee the right to vote for African Americans in the South. Furthermore, the Enforcement Acts were passed. After Southern violence, Congress passed this to suppress the Triple K and tried to protect African American rights. That wasn't enough, and the Triple K Act was passed, banning their disguises and gave the president authority to use troops if needed. While in the Midwest, the Great Chicago Fire happened in October. It would be extremely catastrophic, affecting many. The Great Fire would burn the city to the ground, killing 300 people, burning 17,000 buildings, and leaving $222 million in damages. On the bright side, Yellowstone National Park was founded in March 1872 and became the world's first national park. Lastly, the Amnesty Act was passed and ended political bans against former Confederate soldiers and leaders. For the election, the Republican National Convention was held in Pennsylvania. The Republicans unanimously renominated incumbent President Ulysses Grant. Vice President Colfax thought Grant would only serve one term, and he tried to catapult himself to the presidential nomination. But when Grant announced he was running again, Colfax still went with his plan and burned down bridges, especially after he got the support from the liberal Republicans, who wanted a softer reconstruction. They were dissatisfied with the corruption in Washington and were anti-Grant Republicans. And for vice president, the main nominees were Colfax, with Massachusetts Senator Henry Wilson fighting for the job. And Wilson narrowly defeated Colfax, becoming the new running mate of President Grant. The credit mobilier scandal would come out months later. Grant would not be involved, unlike his former running mate, Vice President Colfax, who would be knees deep. Meanwhile, the liberal Republicans held their convention in Ohio, with their nominees for president being New York Tribune editor Horace Greeley and President Van Buren's 1848 running mate and diplomat to Britain, Charles Adams, while Missouri Governor Benjamin Brown was the main vice president nominee. In the end, Greeley and Brown were the party's nominees. The Democrats held their convention later on in Maryland, but wanting to defeat Grant no matter the cost, they decided to copy the liberal Republicans, creating a fusion ticket. There were other parties like the straight-out Democrats, who were anti-Greeley, and they nominated Charles O'Connor and Massachusetts House Representative John Quincy Adams II as his running mate. Furthermore, the newly formed Prohibition Party nominated party founder James Black and the party's first chairman John Russell as his running mate. Finally, the Equal Rights Party nominated women's rights activist Victoria Woodhull and social reformer activist Frederick Douglass as her running mate. Grant and Wilson ran on the party's experience, attacking Greeley easily due to his career as a newspaper editor and multiple stances, while Greeley failed tremendously to attack or defend against Grant. And the winner was Ulysses S. Grant won re-election, staying as the 18th president in American history. Grant won with 286 electoral votes, with 55.6% of the vote, defeating Greeley easily, and Henry Wilson became the 18th vice president in American history. This election was odd, as seen by 14 electoral votes from Arkansas and Louisiana, due to irregularities being rejected. But as you see from the map, you barely see Greeley. That's because Greeley died of stress before the Electoral College could cast its votes, the only election at the moment where this has occurred. This is why Greeley got 43.8% of the vote, but 0 electoral votes. And popular Indiana Senator Thomas A. Hendricks Colfax got 42 electoral votes. Greeley's running mate, Benjamin Brown, got 18 electoral votes. The remainder went to former Georgia Governor Jenkins with 2 electoral votes. And lastly, SCOTUS Justice David Davis got 1 electoral vote. This election was one of the oddest ones in American history. While Grant won in a landslide, in the Senate, the Republicans won, winning 51 out of the 74 seats, 13 over the threshold. For the House, the Republicans also won, winning 198 seats, 51 over the threshold. Blaine, a Northern Republican from Maine, stayed as the 27th Speaker of the House. Grant took his second oath of office on Tuesday, March 4th, 1873 in the Capitol. Grant would try to rebuild public trust in the government, but failed, and the Gilded Age in American politics had begun. Thus, the 22nd election in American history came to an end. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video.